welcome friends from far and near to the final meeting of our Toastmasters year.
Oh my God.
We gather online from each different place to foster connection in this shared digital space. Our culture is vibrant, our community strong, a haven where our unique voices belong. For growth truly happens when people can see they are challenged, encouraged, and backed thoroughly. With skillful evaluations to guide how we speak, we lift up each other to reach a new peak. So unmute your mic and get ready to shine as we celebrate voices, yours and mine. With that, it's my honor and pleasure to say, President Vicky, please take it away. President Vicky.
Okay. Welcome everyone to my last meeting as your incoming president. I am thrilled. I don't know what is afoot, but this meeting to me is so important, and I'm so thrilled to see you. We are celebrating a number of things, as you can look at our backgrounds, and you are all welcome. We have new members here, and I would like to start by introducing our guests. And I'm going to start with Gail Rosenthal. Gail, thank you for showing up again today. Tell us a little bit about your Toastmaster journey.
Thank you so much for the warm welcome, Vicky. I've been a Toastmaster since God was a baby. It is what it is. And I am looking for a new home for a second club. So I'm on the hunt. And I'm feeling very welcome here. I want to see what you've got.
Thank you very much. Brad Stauffer. He is actually a founder of Masters of Evaluation, and he rejoined. Brad, why did you come back?
Thank you, Vicky. I came back because I continue to hear great things about Masters of Evaluation from you and John and others. And I'm even more delighted today to see a lot of people that I know and a lot of favorite people. So I'm very happy to be here.
Well, you and I, we reconnected during COVID at CCTM, Century City Toastmasters, and that club, the brilliance and the high level of that, if you're not on mute, can everybody get on mute, please? And that club inspired me for MOE. And you said, I had a bad name, and you said, no, we're going to call it Masters of Evaluation. I said, I don't like that name. You go, too bad. And we did, and you were right. So there you go. We are celebrating something today. John told me you also have, so we'll be there in a minute to talk about that. Thank you, Brad. I love the fact that you're back. I know you won't make all meetings, but whatever meeting you come to, you bring so much value. So thank you.
Thank you, Vicky.
Michelle Haas, can you come back on screen? I just had you there and I lost you. Here she comes. Hi, Michelle.
Good morning.
Welcome.
I've been a Toastmaster member since 2023. I recently moved to Idaho, and it was a good time for a new club. And Sandra has been the one to tell me about this club, and I've enjoyed it so far. It's really nice to be here. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. You said Idaho, and I knew. Thank you. And Alyssa Schneider, welcome.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Sorry, Alyssa, can you come on screen? There you are. Oh my God.
Can you see me?
Look at you.
Hey.
Are you outside?
I am. I have very little signal where I live, so I just took a little walk down here, and it is a little bit rainy, but it's a very green day.
Well, at the end of our meeting, if your hair has lost all its curl, I know you took one for the team.
Thank you so much. I'm super excited to be here. I know Sandra from a few years back. We've coincided in a few clubs, and she said, "You have to come visit us at Masters of Evaluation." So here I am.
Well, you actually came to the right meeting. Today we're doing a number of things. I'm doing a thank you to the outgoing board. Our board of directors, let me put on the screen, let me share something. No, I'm not going to share that. All right. I just want to say a few things. So I want to thank you all for being here, our friends, our distinguished guests. And today, I get to do one of the best parts of my job as president, saying thank you to our outgoing board. We shared a remarkable year, and that's no accident. It happened because a handful of dedicated people gave their time, their talent, and their hearts to this club. So let's celebrate them one by one. Tamara Evans, who is actually sending in these videos because she can't be here, but I'm going to say this for the recording. Tamara, your words always found us right where we were and lifted us somewhere better. Your lyrical, beautiful turns of phrase set the tone for every meeting and reminded us that language can be music. We came for the agenda and we stayed for the poetry. Sandra, do you want to say what you're going to do with her words for a minute there? Her lyrical words?
Thank you. We have had the pleasure of tomorrow's lyrical words every meeting, and I've been storing them away. And we have a beautiful book that we've been putting together with, it's 48 pages, of course, because there were 24 meetings. It has our promo picture, but then it has her lyrical words, each one uniquely written for each meeting and theme. And so we'll be providing that at the end of the meeting, because I know if I give it to you now, you won't pay attention to the rest. So, but it's beautiful, and it's going to ongoing be a gift to people as they join Masters of Evaluation. It's
Well,
very
I'm
unique.
sorry, how can they use it themselves?
Pardon?
How can they use it?
Yeah, exactly. It'll be coming out to you as a PDF, and you can view it electronically. And then it's just a nice way of.
Okay. So here's what I wanted to hear. Every meeting has a theme. If you are in a Toastmaster meeting and it has the same theme, go read it. Give us credit. Say this is from Tamara Evans of Masters of Evaluation, but do not reinvent the wheel. You can actually use it. So that's the gift we're going to give you. All right. So thank you, Sandra. Now, let me say thank you to Sandra Savage. Your promotions are nothing short of magnetic. You got people excited, you got people curious, and somehow you got guests joining us from all over the world. If there's a corner of the globe that hasn't heard about our club yet, give Sandra a week. Thank you for opening the doors so wide. John White. John, you wore 2 hats this year, and you wore them both with grace. As secretary, you served us effortlessly, well, with the occasional gentle nudge for the minutes. And as treasurer, you kept our books balanced and our finances steady. Working with you was as smooth as your head is shiny. And trust me, that's saying something. Thank you, John, for keeping us on the level. Trudy Charles Young. Trudy, you met every guest with genuine warmth and an eagerness that was contagious. You shared the wonders of being an MOE member with such joy that newcomers couldn't help but feel at home. You made strangers into friends and friends into family. Thank you for being our welcoming heart. Dr. Gwendolyn Abington. Gwendolyn, you kept us tirelessly on track with Smedley, championing his spirit so passionately that, well, I'm fairly sure Smedley is now its own fragrance, available worldwide. Your dedication never wavered, and our club is stronger for it. Thank you for keeping us true to our roots. To all of you, serving alongside this board has made my role a joy, not a heavy lift. You carried so much so well that I often felt like the luckiest president in the world. That's a gift I won't forget. So please, everyone, join me now. Come off mute and let's give our outgoing officers the round of applause they so richly deserve. Thank you, all of you. Thank you. Yay! Off mute! Off mute!
Good.
Good.
Love you.
Yay.
Now we talk.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Now, next up. Oh, go on. Thank you very much. Now we have our new board, and I would like to share a picture, and we're going to induct. Stop sharing screen with others will stop sound. Do you want to continue? Yes, I do. You're going to have to reload, I think, Victoria.
Okay.
All right, I'm sharing this is our new executive board of directors. You can all see it on the screen. Yes?
Not yet.
No.
No. It says stop share. Let me try.
Oh,
There it
yes.
Oh,
Oh, it was there. Now it's gone.
Coming back. Got it?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Now I'd like to induct. I'm going to induct our new board. Hello, everyone, and what a wonderful day it is as we gather for one of our proudest traditions in our club, the installation of officers. These brave volunteers have agreed to lead us for the coming year. Some knew exactly what they were signing up for, while others, they signed first and asked questions later. We thank them all the same. Leadership in Toastmasters is a gift you give to the club and secretly a gift you give yourself. You learn, you grow, and you discover muscles you never knew you had, especially the ones used for getting the technology working. Can we give a shout out to Victoria today? Now, Sandra, can you please pin the incoming officers? All right. I will now read the induction of officers. The following members have decided to serve us well this next year. President Victoria James, Vice President of Education Kathy Choice, Vice President Public Relations Sandra Savage, Vice President of Membership Tamara, Sergeant at Arms Kate Meown. Officers, we know you know and understand your individual duties and are prepared to take action. So I ask you now together to say, we do. Please come off mute when I read this response. Do you accept the duties of the offices to which you have been elected and will serve with this club with heart, humor, and good cheer?
We do.
You do.
Officers, you've said we do, together and as one, and there's no taking it back now. You've accepted the trust of this club. Lead with heart, serve with patience, and remember that even the smallest task moves us forward. We're grateful, truly grateful that you chose to serve. Now, can we unspotlight the new officers and go to full view? Now, this is the charge to our members. Your officers have just promised a great deal. Your job is to help them keep those promises. Support them, show up, volunteer, and say yes a little more often than you say maybe later. When an officer sends a request, answer it in a timely manner, but not next week, not when you remember, but soon. A quick reply is one of the kindest gifts you can give a busy leader. This is a team leader, team effort, and you are the team. Can we say, we do, together?
We do.
We do. We can and we do.
Thank you. Thank you for all being part of this club and this moment. Let's give our new officers a warm round of applause.
Woohoo! Yeah.
We got anything, Victoria? God, that's lovely. And let's not forget the bar we've set. This year, we've earned the Smedley Award, a tremendous achievement and proof of what we can get together. And there's a friendly challenge. Let's do it again. Same award, same pride, same wonderful people pulling in the same direction. To our new officers, to our members, and to the year ahead, let's remember our motto. We evaluate to elevate. Congratulations, everyone. And now I'd like to turn the meeting over to Dr. Gwendolyn Abington to talk a little bit about Smedley. Dr. Gwendolyn, the floor is yours.
You, Madam President. I hope Victoria has queued up and that each of you will join me off of mute and do a drum roll, please. Drum roll, please.
Wait.
All of you here at Masters of Evaluation, we stepped out and asked you to help us to come to Smedley Distinguished. Somewhere along the way, I began to do this. Can you smell the Smedley? And you smelt it. I am so full of pride this morning. We are Smedley Distinguished, and we got there together. Give yourselves a round of applause. Thank you. And thank you all for trusting me as your Vice President of Education. I have had the pleasure of doing this role. I've done it before in another club, but this year brought me so much joy. This group is not short of phenomenal. Thank you all, and back to you, Madam President.
Thank you so much, Dr. Gwendolyn. And now, Mary Preyor, I am late in turning this meeting over to you. I was supposed to turn it over 2 minutes ago. I thought I had plenty of time, but I am not apologizing. Mary Preyor is our Toastmaster of the day. She is going to make this happen. Mary Preyor, please take yourself off mute. The meeting is yours.
Thank you, Madam President, and good morning, fellow Toastmasters and welcome guests. Welcome to our distinguished club, Masters of Evaluations. The theme of this meeting is capturing moments, celebrating Juneteenth. Today, we commemorate a significant moment in American history, a day that symbolizes freedom, resilience, hope, and the continuing journey towards equality. Juneteenth reminds us that important moments deserve to be remembered, celebrated, and shared. Juneteenth celebrates the day of June 19th, 1865, when enslaved African Americans in Galveston, Texas, finally learned their emancipation. Juneteenth is now a federal holiday. As communicators and leaders, we understand the power of stories. Today, we have the opportunity to capture moments through our speeches, table topics, and evaluations. Whether sharing personal experiences, lessons learned, or words of inspiration, each of us contribute to a rich understanding of our collective journeys. One of my moments, journeys in history, is sharing with you one of my cousins who lives currently in Texas. She travels each June 19th to visit her parents and family in Florida. There they celebrate on this day together collective Black American dishes. And the dishes, some of those dishes, I can just visualize and taste at this moment. Things like collard greens, barbecue chicken, potato salad, corn on the cob, but on the grill, and cornbread and special tea. There is a secret recipe to the tea. It's not just a iced tea like you probably have occasionally, those of you who are tea drinkers, but a special recipe that they have that it tastes like no other. I don't know if it's the water or what that they include in this recipe, but it is oh so refreshing to drink this water. So, fellow Toastmasters, my journey to Florida, along with my cousin who celebrates their Juneteenth with many photos and good food and just family fun. I will take you along, journeying and making these captured special moments in history. May this meeting encourage us to use our voices to inspire, educate, and lift up others while honoring the legacy of those who came before us. Welcome, and let's begin our journey of capturing the moment together. And with that, fellow Toastmasters, I'd like to introduce our team this morning. Our Zoom master, Sandra Savage, distinguished Toastmaster. Our general evaluator, distinguished Toastmaster, John White. Our word of the day and grammarian all counter, Mike Zuha. And please forgive me if Mike, if I mispronounced your last name. And our timer, and please, I would like everyone to spot our timer. Our timer today is distinguished Toastmaster John Graham.
Madam Toastmaster, could you ask Mike for the word of the day?
Yes, please. Thank you, Madam President. And the word of the day, Mike, please share with us and put it in the chat as well. Mike?
I'm a bit confused. Do I go for grammarian introduction?
Mm-hmm. Oh,
Sure.
Yeah, you know
yes.
what?
Mike, would you can introduce the word of the day and your position as grammarian and all-counter.
Sure. I just put the word of the day in the chat. So as your grammarian today, I'll be listening carefully about how we use the English language throughout today's meeting. Our theme is Juneteenth, the celebration of liberty, resilience, and the power of voices that were once denied the freedom to be heard. And language has always played an important part in that journey. As our Toastmaster of the day mentioned before, words can educate, inspire, unite, and bring about change. So today I'll be paying attention to three things. First, I'll note particularly effective or vivid use of the English language, the words, the phrases, the expressions that make a message memorable. Second, I'll listen for grammar and usage issues that may help us become better communicators. And I should mention that I am not a native English speaker, while for many of you it is. So serving as grammarian today feels a little like asking a tourist to give directions to the locals. Well, nonetheless, I'll do my best. I'll see what I can find. And the third thing I'll be paying attention is the filler words, the verbal crutches, the ums and ahs, the likes, anything that takes away the credibility of our message. And as I put in the chat, the word of the day is liberty, meaning the power of choice and the enjoyment of rights and freedoms without unreasonable interference. And encourage everyone to use liberty at least once during the meeting. I'll keep track of that as well. And as we celebrate Juneteenth, or liberty in history, let's also celebrate liberty in expression, the freedom to share our stories, our ideas, and experiences through language. Back to you, Mary, Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you so much for sharing your role with all of us. And I am sure that we will do our best to use your word of the day, liberty. And with that, I would like our timer to demonstrate the timing for all of us. And please spotlight the timer. John Graham.
Well, thank you, Mary. I will endeavor to I will take the liberty to put myself in the upper right-hand corner of the screen. So you'll always be able to see the timer. And I'll be giving you timing digitally, so you can watch it when it's going. And we have four elements really that we time in Masters of Evaluation. We have speeches, regular evaluations, table topics, and then snap evaluations. So for the speakers, Katie, I believe that you are 4 to 6. Is that right?
Yes, that's right.
Okay, good. And so at 4, you'll get a green. 5, you get a yellow. And at 6, you'll get a red. And Jack, I believe you are also 4 to 6. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so it'll be 4, 5, and 6. And then for our evaluations, we have 2, 2.5, and 3. And then for our table topics, we have 1, 1.5, and 2. And snap evaluations are too quick to do a 3. So we'll just do 30 seconds, we'll do a green, and then 1 minute, we'll do a red. So thank you very much for allowing me the liberty to be your timer today.
Thank you, John. And our first evaluator, Victoria Trabosh, Distinguished Toastmaster, will introduce our first speaker.
Thank you so much, Mary. Wonderful job. I'd like to introduce our first speaker today. And to introduce the next speaker, I'd like to start with a short video highlighting a frustrating everyday dilemma many of us face. Our colleague, Kristen, who's a member, could not be here today, and she's also a vegetarian. And she kindly sent this clip to show exactly what dilemma looks like. Let's take a look.
Hi, I've been vegetarian for about 4 years. And when I am in the store, I'm not vegan, which makes that easier. Then say, for example, chocolatey, but not nearly as healthy, some fudge nut cookies. And when I look here, there's half the things on here I probably can't even pronounce. Monocalcium phosphate, sorbitan, tristearate. I don't even know what that is. Tristearate, thiamine mononitrate. So anyway, there's a lot of things on here. I I'm guessing. In general, I wouldn't know what those are and if they came from an animal or not. So,
Vicky, you're muted.
Yeah.
Those are going to be that's the last words John's ever going to say when I die. She's finally muted, but I'm back because I'm not gone. Today, we're going to hear from Kate Meowen, who is doing the Dynamic Pathways Icebreaker speech. Kate Meowen, Behind the Barcode, Kate Meowen.
In that video, Kristen gave us a live demonstration of a problem that vegans and vegetarians face when they read the ingredients to be sure that the product they buy is vegan or vegetarian. And not everyone is an ingredient expert to know all of those ingredients with unfamiliar names. So what can they do to make sure that the product they buy is vegan or vegetarian? Happily, we live in a digital age, and technology can help. And luckily and delightfully, I stand in front of you now with a solution for this problem. But before I introduce you the solution, I would like to briefly introduce myself, who I am, what I do, and why I am here. My name is Kate Meowen, and I have been a public procurement professional for the last 21 years. And I managed multi-million contracts, and I have developed valuable skills such as leadership, market analysis, business relationship management, cost analysis, risk management, mitigation strategies, and one more, problem solving, my favorite. I've got a natural ability of identifying a problem in a process and coming up with a customized solution for the problem. And I have done that in each of my jobs throughout my career in public procurement. I like making my life easier and people's around. And recently, I decided to invest this skill set in setting my own business. My company, Ompiris Limited, has been registered recently. This is an e-commerce business with 3 business lines, and I would like to focus on one of them today, named Vegrify, because Vegrify is the solution for the problem we discussed. And I will fill you in just a little bit later. Now, in the last 5 months, I've done a tremendous amount of work for my business idea. I've done the market research, the business plan, the financial projections. I've taken business-related training. I've secured a grant, and the loan application was rejected this afternoon. I've done all the technical preparation work. And one more. I've joined Masters of Evaluation. Why? I like it here. And I want to develop my communication skills, and especially business communication, so that I can make my business successful. And that's about me. Now, I believe I made you curious what Vegrify is. Vegrify is a mobile app designed to identify vegan and vegetarian products, as well as cruelty-free brands. Name Vegrify comes from a combination of words vegan, vegetarian, and verify. Verify if it's vegan or vegetarian. And that's how I came up with this name, Vegrify. And now let's see what Vegrify can do for you if you are a vegan or vegetarian. You install the app on your mobile phone, and when you go shopping, You don't need to read those labels with unfamiliar names anymore because the app will do the job for you. So you can use the app to scan the list of ingredients on the label, or you can scan the barcode of the product, or you can scan the entire product, or even a prepared meal. And what will happen? The app will process the data through the databases and AI linked to the app, and the app will give you an instant verdict. Is the product vegan or vegetarian? Is the brand cruelty-free or not? And you can use it for food, cosmetics, and household products. Overall, Vegrify is a mobile app that you can use to scan the products in the shop to know if the product is vegan or vegetarian, and if the brand is cruelty-free or not. It's as simple as it is. I'm not alone in this endeavor. So she's my daughter Andrea and my son Alex. And Andrea, she has her own small job in the business, but the bigger job goes to Alex because he's responsible for the app development and putting it on the market. And we are committed to making Vegrify truly simplify your everyday life. And that's why in 2 months, when the app goes live, give it a try for yourself. Spread the word to a friend who needs it. We are grateful. Your friend will be grateful, and you'll be satisfied. I guarantee. Thank you. Back to you, Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you so much for your speech this morning. And I am sure that you will receive the feedback. Mr. Timer, would you put not 60 seconds on the clock, but 30 seconds on the clock so we can remain on time to give our first speaker feedback? Thank you. Our second evaluator is Dr. Gwendolyn Abington, Distinguished Toastmaster, who will be introducing our second speaker, Dr. Abington.
Good morning. It is my pleasure to introduce to you Jack Kaminsky, who will be coming out of the persuasive influence path to do an icebreaker entitled My Early Years. My Early Years, Jack Kaminsky. Take it away.
I couldn't wait to come into this world. I was liberated. I was a premature baby weighing a mere 2.5 pounds at birth. I don't remember any of that. As a matter of fact, I don't remember much before my 5th birthday. Sigmund Freud would say that was due to infantile amnesia. Fellow Toastmasters and guests, I want you to think back to when you were 5 years of age. What was a major influence in your life? For me, it was television. My rich Uncle Joe and Aunt Ruth gave us a 19-inch black and white television set. We were back in the mid-1950s, and it was a marvel of engineering. Every morning, the television would call to me, and it would say, Jack, turn me on. Jack, please, And I did. One of the first shows that I watched was the Howdy Doody show. Buffalo Bob Smith would say at the beginning of the show, "Hey, kids, what time is it?" And the children in the peanut gallery would respond, "It's Howdy Doody time." Howdy Doody was one of a number of marionettes. The peanut gallery was made up of young boys and girls who would assist Buffalo Bob by answering questions and maybe doing some drawings. There was also a real person in the show, a prankster clown called Clarabelle. Clarabelle did not speak and used a horn to communicate. He also sprayed Buffalo Bob with seltzer. For the first 5 years, Clarabelle was played by Bob Keeshan, who later found his voice. Maybe he went to a Toastmaster club. But Bob Keeshan became Captain Kangaroo. I watched the Mickey Mouse Club. I identified with Cubby, the smallest mouseketeer. My first love was Annette Funicello. She was beautiful. I was also a jelly beaner. I would look for other jelly beaners and give a call. I would give the signal, right hand on head, left hand under chin, and give the jelly beaner song. Way back then, Western shows were big. I rode the range with Hopalong Cassidy, Roy Rogers, and Dale Evans. We chased evildoers and always got the better of them. I was always ready to help them with my trusted pistol. I watched Rin Tin Tin and Lassie and developed a love for animals, especially dogs. I watched Officer Joe Bolton, who dressed up as a New York City patrolman, and I learned respect for the policeman on the beat. For the most part, these were some of my fantasy roles. Physically, I was sitting in my living room in front of the television, but mentally, I was sitting in the middle of the peanut gallery, laughing and applauding the antics of Clarabelle and Howdy Doody. I got older. I had 2 feet and a squeaky high voice and could never, ever be on television as a mouseketeer. I rode a horse once, and my tush hurt for a week. I would never be a cowboy. When I was 6, I was bitten by a dog and only got a pet much later in life. As time passed, I could no longer find any jelly beaners, and I stopped putting my hands on my head and under my chin. Yet, Officer Joe Bolton instilled something in me. Perhaps that's why, as an adult, I worked for TSA and became a New York City Medicaid fraud investigator and a peace officer. Today is Juneteenth. It's important that I point out that way back then, the audiences of the show that I watched were all white. The cartoons promoted violence and stereotypical Black behavior. Nevertheless, I also need to point out that the hosts of the old television programs always showed respect and integrity for the children and always stressed friendship and working together. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Jack, for your speech. And Mr. Timer, please give us 30 seconds.
30 seconds.
Thank you. Our next evaluator, evaluating speaker number 3, is Victoria James. Victoria James. For evaluator number 3, please introduce your speaker. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Well, I am thrilled to be able to introduce our next speaker, Kathy Choice. Kathy often enlightens us with her deep wisdom from life and working in the world of science and technology. Today, she'll be gracing us with a very on-theme speech entitled Uncomfortable Truths. This speech fulfills the Visionary Communications Pathway L3 project, which calls for a 5 to 7 minute speech that is well organized and rooted in research methodologies. So now I turn the floor over to Kathy Choice, Uncomfortable Truths.
When I was a child, I remember my mother telling me stories of her life when she grew up in Houston, Texas. She told me stories about her immediate and extended family, about her education, but there was one topic that she would talk about that I just could not understand, and that was Juneteenth. I think that I couldn't understand it because really all that I knew about it was that the slaves had been freed. I grew up in the 60s and 70s and in Southern California, so I didn't understand or have a real good grasp of slavery. But I would like, or I'm going to take the liberty to give you some backstory as well as an overview of that. But first, I would like to give you an explanation. As I go forward, I am not going to call slaves slaves. I will call them enslaved. I am not going to call slave masters masters. I will refer to them as enslavers because that is exactly what they were to the enslaved people. So let's start at the beginning. And I'm going to start with George Washington, first president of the United States, who was also known as the father of his country. Before, during, and after being president of the United States, George Washington was an enslaver. It is documented that he enslaved more than 1,000 people. Of the first 12 presidents of the United States, all but 2 of them were enslavers. And those 2 were John Adams and his son, John Quincy Adams. Now let's move on to Abraham Lincoln, who freed the slaves. Abraham Lincoln actually was opposed to slavery. However, he was not going to do anything to prevent that system where it already existed. When he spoke at his 1860 inauguration, he did tell enslavers that they had the right of repossession of their enslaved people that had tried to escape or did escape to other states. The only reason why Abraham Lincoln became involved with slavery was because states were leaving the Union to form the Confederacy because they wanted to continue with slavery. Fortunately, on January 1st, 1863, Abraham Lincoln issued a presidential proclamation and executive order that freed 3.5 million people from the Confederate States. This was known as the Emancipation Proclamation. What this did was this actually only changed the status of enslaved people to free. The Emancipation Proclamation did not abolish chattel slavery. What it did do was it changed the nature of the Civil War. Also, enslavers knew of the proclamation, but they did not tell their enslaved people that they had been freed. The Union Army ended up having to go out and announce to the enslaved people that they had been freed. They ended up moving forward and moving west. And the last place that they got to was Galveston Bay, Texas. They were led by Union Army Major General Gordon Granger. And when they got to Texas, they informed 250,000 enslaved people within the state of Texas that they had been freed. Something that I'd like for you to consider is that in the United States, we actually have two Independence Days. The first being July 4th, which we're coming up on, which will be the 250th year. We also have June 19th, also known as Juneteenth. This is Independence Day for the enslaved people as well as the diaspora, or those people that had to flee their homeland by force and basically were trafficked to this country. So Juneteenth is a form of an Independence Day for us. Something that I'd like for you to know, if this is something that you don't really know or understand about Juneteenth, there are resources to learn about this. There is the National Museum of African American History. They have a video series about it. There's also the National Archives that has a Juneteenth page. There's also the Texas State Historical Association, which has a Juneteenth guide. And all of these resources are available on the internet. So you don't have to go away from home to learn more about Juneteenth. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you so very much, Kathy, for your in-depth explanation, your speech regarding Juneteenth. And our next presenter is one of my favorite parts of a Toastmaster meeting. I prefer this part to any other besides the speeches, is table topics.
This is a very important time for all of us, and using Juneteenth, which is a historic moment that maybe everybody doesn't know, brings to the mind what has happened in the past. So we look at history and we look at what is happening today. I'm just going to add a couple words. In 1852, Frederick Douglass, who was the premier abolitionist, stood before an audience and talked about the importance of what the founding fathers did, but at the same time he asked Black people to what to the American slave is your 4th of July? And there was a lot of hypocrisy in the Declaration of Independence. So I'm going to ask questions today that will touch everybody's life that have to do with freedom. And I'm dividing it up into sections. Where we come from, who first taught you what fairness meant, and do you still believe what they taught you? Who would like to answer? Okay, Michelle, that would be wonderful.
What a great question. What does fairness mean? Does this question spill into ethics? Does this question spill into Bible? Or how about other books like the Quran? Or what else is there? So, how does somebody who never grew up with religion understand fairness? It seems to me that we are born knowing what is fair. When your brother took a cookie and you didn't get one, you knew it was fair. You may have been only 3 or 4, but you knew it wasn't fair. It wasn't right. And it seems that we are born with this sort of instinct in our gut that tells us where we stand. Maybe it's telling us where we don't stand. If you got a cookie and I didn't, you just took the liberty of taking that cookie from me. I have a friend who raised 2 boys, 2 sons that were very close in age, and he would take a cookie and he would break it in half and he would tell one brother, "Now you pick which cookie you want." Does he take the bigger cookie? Now he is really careful about picking which cookie which like half that he wanted. So I don't know. Where does this come from? Maybe we are just kind of born with it. Thank you.
You're welcome, and thank you. Pamela, would you give an evaluation?
I was hoping you would give me the liberty of doing such a thing. Michelle, what a wonderful table topic. I mean, you just jumped right in. It was like a speech. You reached out and you took apart the whole idea of fairness in such an incredible manner. You took the topic and you didn't think about the one person. When Lynn actually asked you who was that person, you didn't actually answer that question for us, but I forgave you for that because it was so beautiful how you wrapped it around and made it about what is internal to us. And you touched on religion and how that can be for people. So I thought it was fantastic. And what a wonderful way to be introduced to you. You're such a wonderful speaker, and I hope you will join our group because you're really top notch and you deserve to be with us.
Thank you. Okay, next question. What opportunity do you have today that someone in your family couldn't have had 30 years ago? And Minitrude, I'm going to ask you.
Thank you very much for this question. It's a good question. What opportunity do I have today and other members in my family did not have? Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. I was born in a small island and there were not many opportunities. However, in my family, I was very, very lucky to have the opportunity to go away and study. And it cost my parents a lot of money because it came from the family holdings to educate a person abroad in Europe. And my other brothers and sisters, they had to like hold back and wait. In actual fact, they didn't have to because the opportunity that came later on for them was not from the family holdings, but the government implemented a scholarship that others could then have. But if that was not the case, they would not have had the opportunity. The backlash of this is once you finish, you should return back to your island. And that was not a great thing for the ones who went away on scholarship because they have to come back. But I did not have to. So I had the opportunity to stay away and then come back, but they did not have that opportunity. So the thing is here that not everybody get the same chance. And I believe this happens everywhere in the world where there's not immediate poverty, but there's inequality in the balance of funds. And the inequality in the balance of funds for families is depend where you live in the world. We in the Caribbean has been a poor place. Some people were very lucky to be in an environment where the economy started to grow, and I happen to be there. Back to you.
I'd like to suggest Prince answer with a SNAP evaluation.
Okay, sounds good.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Charles Young. This was, again, a lesson in history. You took us down that path and spoke from personal experience. You spoke because that was the question, and you addressed it in no uncertain terms. You put it forward in comparing your situation to that of your siblings, to those who were close to you, and the manner in which you both, in your own worlds, had different opportunities because you were in different places and they had different things to offer. I loved the manner in which you approached it and the manner in which you went around the whole circle at the end. Right at the 2-minute mark, you actually closed your table topic, and that is something that I really appreciate. When you start a story and you close it just at the 2-minute mark. Wonderfully done. Thank you very much.
And thank you, Madam Table Topic Master, for your questions pertaining to our theme of today. And unfortunately, we need to move on so we can keep our meeting rolling on time. Now it gives me great pleasure to introduce to you our general evaluator of this meeting. And Mr. Timer, again, would you please put the timing in the chat for everyone to observe? And now, please, I would like to bring to the virtual lectern our general evaluator, distinguished Toastmaster, John White.
Thank you very much. Before we do that, I know time is short, but let us give a round of applause to Mary Preyor. We haven't seen her in a long time, and that she would come back for Juneteenth and join us as the Toastmaster. Excellent job. I know there's a lot of work in preparing, so well done. We know the timing rules is 2 to 3 minutes. All you need to know is the evaluators and their evaluations. It's my pleasure to introduce distinguished Toastmaster, our current president, on her way out as president, but still a founding member, an important part of MOE, Victoria Trabosh, evaluating Kate Brown's speech.
Thank you very much, John. And would you spotlight me and Kate, please? Someone. I know you can all do it. Thank you very much. Kate. You know, I have vegans and vegetarians in my family, and you educated me. I did not see that coming. When you wrote the word vegrify on your speech, I thought you meant verify. And I like the fact that you did not worry about me. You did not address it. I thought the opening with Kristen was good. It set the tone about the worry that we have. And what I loved was when you opened, you excelled at a great smile. You have a lovely smile on screen. And you did a very good job using technology. And the more I listened to you, it was like, this is obviously, sorry, my mouth doesn't work great, but it's a product with a P, pitch with another P. And I see that for members when you did it, when you did the call of action, sign up for our app in 2 months. I could see you doing this with funders. This is tight, Kate, and we can tighten it up even more. Because if you could get funders behind this, sponsors, legit sponsors, this app could go viral. I actually started looking at it while you were speaking to send to my vegan daughter-in-law and my vegan daughter, and I was so disappointed. And then you gave us the answer. Look for it in 2 months. And when you said Vegrify, here's what I want you to improve. Vegrify, the problem we discussed. Keep bringing us back to the problem. Vegrify, not knowing if a product is what you're looking for. Don't just say the problem we discussed, because even in a 4 to 6 minute speech, I can forget. You immediately started. I want you to pause. I want you to look. If you were, I'm not standing, I'm sitting. But if you were standing, look around, smile, and say welcome. I want you to watch the recording. The minute you were up, when Kristen was down, you started talking. Take a breath. Breathe, smile. And I have a technology idea. When you had the PowerPoint up, which worked, I'm not a big PowerPoint fan, but yours were excellent. Not too many words. You showed us where to go. Sandra or Brad can get you in the corner, down here in this corner. You've seen that. You were over and you're tiny. And sometimes I'm able to do that little move and sometimes I'm not. But it's better to have, and the way your slide was, you wouldn't have been covering anything. So when I've somehow done that magically, sometimes I'm covering my graphics. But if you were down in this little corner here, you would have been perfect. I want to say, and I'm going to come in under time because, wait, am I already at 3 minutes? Thank you, Kate. Back to you, Mr. Evaluator.
Thank you. You just saw self-awareness. Self-awareness, perhaps the word of the day in the future. We now move on to Evaluator 2, Dr. Gwendolyn Avington, a distinguished Toastmaster. She helped us take us to the promised land, that is Smedley. And she will be evaluating Mr. Kaminsky and 50s and 60s TV.
Absolutely. Thank you, John. Jack, wow, is how I will start this because you started out giving us, because the icebreaker is supposed to be about us getting to know you and you telling us about you. You talked about being born prematurely. And I was thinking, where's he going with this particular speech? But then you took us on the journey with you as a young boy. Your props were phenomenal. And you didn't have one, you had several because you were conscious of the audience. There are young people here, there are middle-aged people, and there are older people like you and I that understand who Howdy Doody and some of the others that you mentioned were. I thought that was wonderful that you realized not everyone in the audience was going to know what you were talking about. I love the gestures, the eye contact throughout. Most of us will do one or two things to make a gesture that may be insignificant, but you didn't all the way through your speech. You did gestures like this, and your eye contact was right there. I'm talking to you. Hey, I'm talking to you. And looking through that little hole is a talent to remember to stay connected to your audience. My one improvement for you would be you talked about infantile amnesia in your first couple sentences. I, as a healthcare worker, know that terminology, but not everyone in the room might know. A couple seconds to just give a definition so people could put it in their mind. Premature, infantile amnesia, and then move on into your speech. You took us on further in your journey as a 6-year-old I love the visual of your tush hurting for a week after riding the horse and the dog bite. I enjoyed that. And then you did it for me. You sealed the deal, Jack. You brought Juneteenth into the room. And you said, as a white man, with me as your African American female counterpart to evaluate you, all white actors you saw, the stereotypical role of the blacks stealing or killing and such. Most people would not have, and maybe this isn't a technical term, but the kahunas to do what you did at the end of your speech. Bravo, bravo, bravo. You rounded it out well. And lastly, respect. You brought respect into the room because if I respect you and you respect me and we respect the world, we would be in a better position today. Thank you, Jack. Back to you.
Woo, Dr. Gwen, thank you so much. If I could just cuss for a second, Jack is demonstrating that you can be woke and have balls. I'm not even going to say cojones. I'm going to say the B word. All right, we move on. I'm sorry for that. Okay, just breathe. It's okay. We're all family here. They're going to be working very closely in 26, 27. One is president, the other is VPE. And so it's my pleasure to introduce Victoria James, who will be evaluating Kathy Choice's speech. Victoria?
Thank you, John. I love evaluating Kathy Choice. She's not an easy person to evaluate, and I'll tell you the reason why. I did watch a few. I went back a year. I took a tip from Kate, and I went back and I watched some earlier speeches from Kathy as a member of the club. She is a natural at this. She's a natural presenter. She commands the space. I don't even think she thinks about it. It doesn't, it just looks like it all comes naturally. She has presence. Her voice is just right. Um, so I'm going to just skip over all the boring stuff for now. I'll get you your form later. There was a clear purpose. It was well researched, all of that. We don't need to perseverate on that. I want to tell you what I loved about this. I love that Kathy took control of the situation and command of the language. Now, I'm sure I'm stealing somebody else's idea when I say this, but when you um, when you control the language, you control reality. This is a fact. And no, we're not doing slaves, we're not doing masters. That really, to me, that was just so powerful. That was a power move, Kathy. This speech was relatable, and this was something I was specifically looking for. Can I relate to this Juneteenth thing? I'm not going to pretend to relate to something that I I don't have any experience with, and Kathy gives right to that. I was a 60s kid. I'm hearing this from my parents, and I really couldn't relate to it. So okay, you got me there. Okay, we're gonna go on this journey together, learning about this topic. So you really put me in the right mood to start out. You got the background, you're all in with the t-shirt. Love the attention to detail on all of that. So if I'm going to give you something to work on, I took a page from the famous Pat Caslin's checklist of evaluations that's been making the rounds. One of the tips in there that I thought might be useful for you, Kathy, is to make sure you're giving sufficient pauses. And the specific tip is on a real point that you want to land, let yourself have 3 heartbeats and then go. It's a little hard with Zoom, I find, to really, get that connection with the audience and know where something's landing or when it's time to move on. But I'd like to see you try that. And then as a challenge, as a stretch goal, as the poet, I like imagery, and I think there could have been it's a research project, there's numbers and all that stuff. It could have used just a little bit of imagery. At one point, I started to imagine because you said they didn't know that they weren't free. They didn't know that they were free. And for a second, I started to imagine, oh God, what would that be like? You've got soldiers arriving and telling you this is the new reality, this is your new situation. Maybe you could play with that a little bit and see if it adds or not. But amazing job as usual, Kathy Choice. Thank you for letting me evaluate you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Victoria. We're trying to write a tight ship. Should I track back and ask the speakers what value they got from the evaluators, or we don't have time for that?
I would like, if we don't mind, I would like the evaluators and the speakers to connect. Please, speakers, tell the evaluator what you received. We don't have time. Thanks, John.
Okay, great. I did want to offer that, so we'll be done, but offline or in the chat. So we're now moving on to Michael Zhang's report for Word Grammarian. You have the liberty, but not too much time, Mike. Just 1 to 2 minutes, please.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, General Evaluator. So I'll be quick. So for word of the day, John Graham used it twice. Jack in the prepared speech, the word liberated. I thought that counts. Kathy in the prepared speech had one. Our guest Michelle had one. John White just had one, and Pamela had one. Thank you for using the word of the day. In terms of the crutch words, the ums and an ahs, I think everybody is doing pretty well. There were a couple here and there, but nothing really distracting. I really want to point out that what I've noticed, like our outgoing president Vicky had a couple of ums just before thanking the outgoing club officers. She was sort of distracted about like screen share. And well, I point this out because I think this is really reassuring. Vicky, you're a really good speaker, and for such a great speaker like you also have when you're distracted and you also have ums, so that's really reassuring. Like nobody's perfect, we're all here, it's all work in progress. So thank you.
Great.
And in terms of,
Oh, sorry. My fault.
I should be done.
No, you're continuing. I was premature.
Oh, oh, no problem. So in terms of the beautiful use of the English language, Vicky, when you're thanking the outgoing club officers, you said Tamara reminded us language could be music, and you thanked Sandra's promotion because they are nothing short of magical. And I want to say, Vicky, your language is also music to me, and your energy is contagious and magical as well. And our speaker Jack said in TV in the 1950s is a marvel of engineering. I love that phrase there. And our guest, the Prince, in his snap evaluations is a lesson in history. And now at the end, I'd like to go back to our third speaker, Kathy. Kathy paraphrased slaves and slave masters as the enslaved and the enslavers. And I just thought that was very, very powerful. As Victoria, the evaluator, mentioned, when we control the language, we control the reality. So thank you everyone for your contribution today as we celebrate Juneteenth. May we continue to use our words to educate, inspire, unite, and bring about positive change. Back to you, General Evaluator.
Well done. It's time for my evaluation. I thought it was a great meeting. I was very much touched by the early part of the meeting where Trabosh was talking about thanking the past or existing board members and the future ones about our commitment, our care, and just what we've mean for one another. As I get older and more invested emotionally in this club, things like that really matter. To be reminded that we're here for each other, we're lifting each other, we care, and I see you doing what you're doing. So I really like that. As far as the evaluators, just offer a slightly different take. On the first speech, Vicky, I did not think that the speech of Kate's needed to validate that there's a content issue. I thought Kristen's start, I thought it was unnecessary. It didn't add to the ethos, and it was sort of an awkward start to a speech. So I just thought it was excess. As far as Gwen's evaluation. I like that you were talking about infantile amnesia and to explain to us what that is. Sometimes that holds us back from hearing the rest of the speech. Victoria James, the aha moment of the meeting and perhaps life changing. When you control language, you control reality, akin to the line that the victors tell history. And I think that's a thing about Juneteenth is you don't know when the oppressor or others are telling. And I think that's really the issue. I also, Victoria James, want to give you kudos when we're to have these conversations. When you're hearing Kathy's speech, as a white person, part of you is like, oh, yeah, I know Lincoln had slaves. I know this, that, and the other. But it's uncomfortable, but it's necessary. Black history is American history. And for you, Victoria, to say, did I know about it? Did I get it to the degree that you do? There was an honesty about it. And you need to be honest about it. And I think to hold space where we're supportive and understanding disparities and also different takes. As far as Kathy's speech, Kathy, I remember a black friend saying to me, we don't celebrate July 4th. And I was like, wow. And she said, we weren't free. And I was like, it's so obvious you weren't free, but you need to hear it. So maybe you needed to start it with, I never celebrated July 4th because my people weren't free. You know what I celebrate? And then later on, perhaps talk about, and it took 2 years to make it to us, and that all wasn't antiquated communication. There was resistance, and that resistance to the message and to the freedom and to seeing my people as equal exists to this day. Something like that. I also want to say that I loved whoever had the laugh track. I know sometimes it can be gimmicky. I thought it was perfect. Because when you say unmic and applaud, no one wants to do it. You had a laugh track. That was wonderful. There was a glitch or two about technology and launching things. And Victoria, I'm going back now, Trabosh. I love that you talked about messing with the PowerPoint and the presenter, because so many times the PowerPoint becomes the presentation, and I don't think that's what we want. It was a great meeting. It's a great holiday. I was so pleased that Mary Preyor was Toastmasters. I loved your personal anecdotes and sharing what it means. We have to listen to each other's stories. The World Cup in the United States, this little smidgen, is reminding us of the beauty of diversity across the world. It's reminding Americans that we're more than what we see on CNN or Fox. And I'm just really encouraged by our diversity and how we celebrated Juneteenth, and I think it affected all of us. So with that, I would like to, Mary, did you have any final comments you want
Yes,
to add?
yes, I would like final comments, and I'll be very quick, but wanting to share this. As we conclude today's meeting, let us remember that Juneteenth is more than just a date in history. It is a reminder that freedom, hope, perseverance, and opportunity are worth celebrating and protecting. Today, through our speeches and shared experiences, we have captured moments of learning, growth, and connection. We have listened, encouraged one another, and demonstrated the power of communication to build understanding and community. May we leave today inspired to continue using our voices with purpose, courage, and compassion. Let us carry forward the lessons of Juneteenth by embracing opportunities to lead, serve, and make a positive difference in the lives of others. And now back to our president. Thank you all for allowing me to be your Toastmaster today.
Thank you, Mary. And in the great tradition of your president, we are running long. This is my final meeting as president, and we have two things to do. fill our agenda, and hear from our guests. Now, guests, I am giving you a whole 30 seconds to say what value we brought. And I'm going to start with my dearest Gail Rosenthal. Get off mute, hit it, and get off the screen, sis. What value do we bring?
I think you bring value to the speakers in the form of honest communication, critique, and suggestion. I will also say this. There are lines that are not being crossed here that I hope are being crossed person to person. There are things that needed to be said about these speeches that were not said. So please, evaluators, step up. Say what you need to say with love, and everything can be accepted with love.
Thank you, Gail. Alyssa, there you are. Is it raining more, Alyssa?
Thankfully, it drizzled slightly and it stopped. So I've had this beautiful natural air conditioning going on the whole meeting.
Value do we bring to you?
And then to top it off, it was just fabulous hearing from every single one of you. I've been reading books on leadership, and what I love today is how, Victoria, you were just elevating your team throughout, and I feel like that is the best form of leadership, is to highlight what each person is doing and why they're doing it so well. It's so uplifting the whole group when you're cheering everybody on, and I loved that at the beginning. And then loved the speeches. I loved hearing the topic of Juneteenth, and Kathy, I loved what you brought today, and hearing that truthful side that we all need to be made aware of. And I appreciate that honesty and vulnerability. So I look forward to being with you guys again. And thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us, Alyssa. Alex Kim, fellow TEDx coach, and Huva to us. How are you, and what value do we bring in 30 seconds?
Hey guys, thanks for having me. You guys are great. I'm very glad to celebrate Juneteenth with you guys. I learned a lot from today's speech. I really love the part when the evaluators talk about the speaker's objective. Maybe that's something that I can incorporate in my club meeting as well, because it made it very clear, and then my focus to clear even better. So I love to be back again. Sorry, I came a little late talking about World Cup. I went out last night watching World Cup. I woke up 10 minutes before I jump into this meeting. So hopefully that doesn't happen again next time I come back.
You are forgiven. Thank you, Alex. And finally, Michelle Haas, thank you for being here, for really participating. What value? You brought great value to us. What did we bring to you?
Thank you. I appreciate it. I was actually thinking I was a member, but maybe I have to continue my application or something to go through. But definitely nice to be here, well organized, uplifting, positive, and we're thinking all the way through. There's no chance to zone out. And I appreciate it. So thank you very much.
You are a member. My
Yes, she
apologies.
is.
All right. Thank you. And to that
Good to
point,
be here.
and let me say, for the guests, thank you for hanging in there. And this has been the joy of my life. As you know, I've been going through a very serious battle with cancer. But you know what? I've come out of the abyss and I'm climbing up and I feel great. My mouth is not working great. But you know what? When you got when you got an international speaker with oral cancer who's fighting it, you can bet I'm going to win it. And me and Lynn Gilbert are going to Miraval, which is a spa in Arizona, one day, because we're going to go there and get our groove back, right, Lynn? Okay. So with that, I would like to adjourn the meeting. Happy Juneteenth, everyone. Excellent job. And welcome to MOE Smedley. Can we get applause? Any way you can pull that up, Victoria, real quick?
Yeah, our applause, cheer, drum roll.
Oh, it unshared. Sorry, folks. Sorry.
All right, no worries. Good night. Goodbye, everyone. Have a wonderful weekend. And thank you again for showing up, showing out, and being masters of evaluation.
Thank you.